What is happening, film fans? This is Let's Be Real Brad. Today in the channel, I want to talk to you guys about the very much delayed action movie from Matthew Vaughn called The Kingsman.
The Golden Circle. It's called Kingsman, not The Kingsman. Fuck this franchise.
The Kingsman is a prequel to Kingsman: The Secret Service and Kingsman: The Golden Circle. It stars a bunch of cast members that are very talented, and yeah, okay, I'm having a hard time reviewing this movie because this movie was just so incredibly boring and so uninteresting that I almost fell asleep while watching this movie. This is a movie that, for most people, I don't even think they realize this movie's coming out, but they should, because this movie has so many trailers, so many changes in release dates, because they've been pushing this movie for way too long. My goodness gracious. This movie is so damn boring. The biggest issue with this movie is that it's not a spy movie, and it tries to focus on so many different characters, and all of them are so poorly underdeveloped that I honestly just didn't care. So much of it feels so cookie cutter in the most generic way possible that you have seen this so many other times, especially when this movie feels like it's trying to do so many callbacks and nostalgia flashbacks to the other movies, acting like that these two movies were just like so amazing and having so many fans. And maybe there is a lot of Kingsman fans, but I think that this movie thinks it's a lot bigger than it actually is, because this movie also features a post-credit scene as well, and I was just like, okay, like I don't really care. I think this movie thinks it's so bigger than what it actually is, and that is the most disappointing aspect. One of the most awful aspects about this movie is the tone, because the movie is trying to feel like the other Kingsman movies that had a very comedic, over-the-top tone with them, with very stylized action, and at times this movie does have that, and that's when the movie was good. It's just a very strange movie, especially with the Rasputin character, which I don't know what the hell they did with this character. I don't know if this is how the guy was in real life, but just the way it was portrayed in this movie was so goofy and ridiculous, and I just didn't vibe with it whatsoever, because most of this movie has a very serious tone. And so when Rasputin is just crunching on a tart and he's got crap all over his beard, it was so distractingly bad, and I didn't laugh at any point in this movie. I think this movie was supposed to be funny. I also thought this movie was way too long, as this movie clocks in around 2 hours and 11 minutes, and I just thought so many scenes in this movie could have just been cut out, because it's just not useful for me. Like, this whole movie just feels unnecessary. And my last big negative I have with this movie is that this movie feels like it's trying to cater to a different audience than the first two movies, because the trailers for this movie, at least for the US distributing, make this seem like it's for a older crowd to watch with some action and that older people really enjoy, but don't take it too far. But then when you watch this movie, it does feel like the other Kingsman movies that are really bloody, over the top, and have such cool action scenes, and sometimes this movie has that. But then this movie is just paced and just put together in the most boring way. So I do have a few positives with this movie, starting with the cast. I do think the cast in this movie is pretty good, as Ralph Fiennes is always great in every movie he's in. I pretty much enjoy him, especially in the James Bond films. I think he does a pretty good job in this movie. George McKay, who starred in 1917, was also pretty good in this movie, as well as Ralph Fiennes' son. And my other positive I have with this movie is the action scenes. Now, there isn't a ton of action scenes in this movie, which is very disappointing. Like, I'm quite shocked considering that all the other Kingsman movies had a ton of action. But at least when you're watching the action scenes in this movie, they are very stylized. They have such great directing, and Matthew Vaughn clearly understands how to shoot action scenes, and when they're on screen, they are really cool. It's not the best I've ever seen, but I was enjoying the fact that there isn't a lot of cuts every 5 seconds. Like, the actors are able to show off their cool choreography that they were able to have. Overall, guys, The Kingsman is a movie that I'm so disappointed, because it could have been such a good movie, considering that I enjoy the other two Kingsman movies, and the fact that they had everything set up to be good with the original director Matthew Vaughn coming back and a good cast. But unfortunately, this movie just feels so unnecessary in the worst ways possible, and I do not recommend going to check to see this movie out unless you're a big fan of this franchise. I'm going to be giving The Kingsman a strong 4 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out my review, and I want to know down below in the comments section, what do you guys think of The Kingsman, and what do you think of the other Kingsman movies as well? Are you guys excited for a Kingsman 3? I cannot wait to hear about that. But before you guys check out this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you want to, and ring that notification bell so I can see you all in the following video.